Okay, my name is Barry Guidry, and I am the sole GIS analyst with Pittsylvania County, and I developed this web application. The previous web application that we had for the longest time was developed. It was a custom development from a contractor. And just to give you some background on this web app and the reason for the change is when COVID hit, we received funding to upgrade some 911 mainly systems, and GIS was a big part of that upgrade. And so we made this purchase into an upgraded GIS system called ArcGIS Enterprise. And so I was tasked with building a new web application. The contractor contract that we had was about to expire, so I built the last one that you guys probably used as well. That was slightly different, but with that, just soon after I built that last one, the company that creates this software called ESRI announced they were going to stop supporting that web app builder and focus on this new one called Experience Builder, which is the current running one. And so we already started having problems with the previous version. And so I went ahead and built this new one. I didn't think it would be much different than the last one that was built, but apparently with this, the newer one, a lot more. With this newer application I built, I hear a lot more complaints about it, that it's difficult to use. So, and therefore the reason I thought I'd present the training here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. Those on Teams, you can use your camera or turn it off. It's up to you. I'm just going to be looking at my screen while presenting. Okay. And I welcome thank you for attending in person, everyone. And we have coffee and donuts over here, and water and some other snacks. Okay, so Pittsylvania County main web page. You can Google it if you have to. I mean, you know, but this is the main site here. And so all you really need to do to go to the GIS is we've added an icon right here. And what this will do is take you to our GIS website. This is what I'll be training everyone on today, the new GIS platform. This GIS portal is something that you may want to look at in your free time, but that is mainly to like a gateway to all of the maps and data. But the reason I built that was mainly so folks who use GIS as well can download our data to use in their own system. And the real estate data icon here will just take you to the real estate page that most of you should be familiar with if you accessed our data for a while yet. So this is the main page. And this is the parcels where you can search by parcel ID or owner name. You can download all of this data. If you just go to download over here, search, and what that will do, just leaving all of these checked, it will bring in all of these fields, as you can see below here. So this is all of the accounts within the Pittsylvania County parcel data. Okay, so if you hit export up here, it will export all of the results to a CSV file that you can then format however you need, send it to someone else and whatnot. So that's a good way. And you can always just go to this site if you're not interested in the GIS data, but only the property records. Okay. And so if you search parcels, okay, I'm gonna get out of this for now. Okay, so once you get on our site from the main site, this is the new GIS application, and this will always be the newest. When transitioning from one to another, I may add a link to the old one as well in the future. This one should be supported for quite a while because it is the newest application builder the ESRI has created. And the reason they're not supporting the old one is so they can focus on improving this one. So this one will improve in the future as well. So I'll go over a few different areas of the application first. Of course, this is what I'll call the banner. And in the center here, this about button, you can always go to and watch previous video that I made for like a tutorial, very similar to what I'll be giving in training today. And then you have all of these tools up here. You have tools within the map frame here. And the reason there's tools dispersed about everywhere in the application is just so they don't all clog up one area, okay? The layers, of course, as you can see over here on the left, and you can scroll through these with, your mouse wheel or this little bar here on the side of it. If you just click and hold your left mouse button over the bar, it'll drag that. These tabs are to collapse items. You can collapse that if you need to get more screen space with the map. The bottom tab here will bring up tables, okay? And then you get from here, you can see all the different layers of data here that you can just click on these tabs to access the, and then that'll show you all of the data within each one of these layers, okay? Unless you filter them, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay, and so with these layers over here, you may notice some of them say group layer in parentheses. And what that means is if you expand that with this little arrow to the side, and as you can see, any tools or icons and such that you, if you just hover over with your mouse, it'll show you a brief description of what it does. So if you're looking for some data that you don't see in the map, you may need to look in each one of these group layers, because that is where you could turn on additional data that's not showing by default. Okay, so you can just turn on and off the layers with these check boxes. So any of them that say group layer in parentheses, you can expand and see additional data within there. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. You can search addresses pretty much globally. because there are some search engines in there that are similar to Google Maps that Esri, for example, has. There's an organization, as you can see in the bottom of the layer list here, this VGIN. We use a lot of their services. That's the Virginia Geographic Information Network. And they also have created these aerial image layers here that we have a range of different years. And they fly these aerial image projects across Virginia annually, but only certain areas each year. And that's why we have gaps in the years of aerial imagery, is because they don't fly our county every year. But it's a great free service that we use. And so the way I use them, the way I bring these layers in from external sources, I'll show you real quick. So, yeah. So, well, there's with part of ArcGIS Enterprise, we can allow anything that's allowed access publicly. They can go to a certain site, another site that we have, that they can find all of the web links to our map services, is what they're called. These are these layers that are running on the server. And if they have the link, and that's what I did here from external sources that provide that information, I just add a layer as a URL. So that's how I'm able to access external sources here. Now, if you notice, some of these layers or the titles are subdued currently in here. That's because they will not draw at this map scale. So as I zoom in to the map, and I just use my mouse wheel. You can use these tools over here to zoom in and out as well if you don't have a mouse wheel set up to do that. So as I zoom in, you see more features starting to appear on the map. And the reason is there's no reason to draw everything or certain layers when I'm zoomed out to this extent, because you won't be able to make sense of them anyway. Okay, so that's why some of these layers, the titles are subdued, and as I zoom in, you'll see they start highlighting, becoming active as well. Okay, so pretty much all of them are active now that are turned on. And that's as well, that's the reason that a lot of these layers are not turned on by default, is because if I had everything turned on when you open this application, it would take a lot longer to draw it all. Okay. So what I have turned on by default is, what I assume people are using the most of anyway. Okay, so I want to go over using the map and the map frame and the data within there. Okay, so all of the data that you see in the map frame is connected to data within the tables. Okay, and so also if you just left click anywhere in the map, a pop-up will come up, a pop-up box, and it'll highlight the features. And as you can see, there's some arrows here to toggle between features. And if you notice here, it says tax parcels. That's this layer up here, the tax parcels all layer, that it is showing the information of behind for that particular parcel area. Okay, so if I click the arrow to go to next features or layers, see now it's drawing assess parcels, and that will be in this group here, right here. Okay, and also these three like lines to the right of each layer name. If you click that, it'll show you the symbology for that layer. And so once you're in the pop-up box, you know, it's very important that you understand how to toggle between the layers here, because that's the only way that you're gonna find the information that you may be looking for that particular feature that you clicked on. Okay, so this will scroll through all of the features of where I clicked with my mouse. See, to the bottommost layer being addresses, just a point there, is what's displaying here. So now also in the pop-up boxes under the tax parcels, as you can see, you know, again, the title here, if I scroll to the bottom of the data here with my mouse wheel, okay, if there was a photo that exists, a property photo for that particular property, it will show up at the bottom here. Okay. Now, if I move next to assess parcels layer and scroll to the bottom, okay, all of this data in here is the same as that real estate data. Okay, the website that I showed you earlier. It's the same information here in the assess parcels layer. The property record at the bottom of this pop-up box, if it has a hyperlink here. So if you click that, then it'll open a new window or tab in your browser to take you to the property record information for that particular parcel that I clicked on. Okay, and from here you can go to the property card. I know a lot of people, you know, that's the way they like to access the data, and print property card. Okay, so this is the same information process right here that you've always used to get the property card. Once you land on this website, it's just a different way of accessing it here. Okay, so yes. There are some, see if I can find one. Here's one. See, at the very bottom of now it's important to remember that, you know, it's in the tax parcels layer. At the bottom, you have the JPEGs here that you can click on and open the photo then. This one, all I can do with it is with this icon, I can dock it over here. I can't, yeah, I can't resize it. Okay. Which I don't understand. Maybe they'll improve that in the future, but as you'll notice with some of these tools, they'll have a little white corner here that you can drag and resize them. So it seems to me if you resize these, you should be able to resize a pop-up box, but not yet. I hope they'll improve that in the future. So, yes, sir.
Another question.
Mm-hmm.
On the assessment.
The cards may not be, though in the tax database we can access that information. I do have another web application. I may, if I remember, I'll try to show at the end that has that information in it, though, that, you know, I received from the appraisers.
And Barry, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful. I was also curious on there when you identify a property, can if it marks it as historical or not. Does it get that deep into properties that fall into historical districts or things like that?
No, I don't think I have that data.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, also, it's important to understand, if you see these green thumbtacks on the map, those are called general location parcels, and they're right here in the layer list. Now, what those are is they represent a parcel, but for some reason, there may be a lack of a survey, or just a quality of the survey that exists. Or there may be a lack of enough information on the deed to properly draw that as a property boundary. So it's important when you're looking for properties that you may want to leave that on, because this search tool will search them as well. So with that, let's go ahead and go over the tools now.
Those general location tags, how does it?
They are just placed randomly within the parcel area that they are believed to be within or adjacent to. So basically, the closest location we could get that we could assume they will be in.
Is there any way to get
You may be able to, but from the Commissioner of Revenue's office, but I doubt it, because if they exist, we need to keep them in the data. And these general location parcels, they have photos attached to them as well. Even though we can't draw the property boundary, if a photo exists for them, I've attached them. So with the search tool, this is what I believe the majority of people are interested in using the most. And one thing I forgot to let you know is I get a lot of complaints about, sorry, I call it complaints. I mean, that's just what they are. But I get a lot of complaints, and it took me a while to figure this out, about when people open the web application, nothing may open at all yet, or things may not function properly. And the reason for that is whatever web browser you're in, and I found it works with Microsoft Edge now too, if I change these settings. But what you may want to do, if beforehand, or if you find that it's not functioning properly, is to go in your web browser settings. And I'm not going to go over this in detail because every browser is different. They're in a different location, they call them different settings. But like your security settings, you may want to look at these and lessen the restrictions. Okay, you don't have to put it on no protection, but I do that just so everything will function. But you may want to play around with your security settings in your browser and lessen some restrictions in there, in order to get it to function properly. Okay. So with the search tool, as you can see with this little drop down arrow here, these are the layers or map services that this tool is currently set up to search. So it's searching general location parcels, the assessed parcels. And these two at the bottom, again, are just these external web services that help locate addresses as well, because I'll admit our address data, our property boundary data, it's not 100% accurate. And though I do try to correct that as I see errors in it. So it's important to have some other sources for looking up addresses here, because we may not have an address in our data, but I'll show you the difference. So as you can see, the more I type an address, at some point, a list will pop up beneath it. Okay, what's important to notice is these titles here are groups. This is assessed parcels. That means we have that address in our data. This VGIN geolocator and ArcGIS World Geocoding Service. Those are global address search engines. So, but if we have it in our data in assessed parcels, or if general location parcels pops up here, that would be your best bet to look at, because that means it'll take you right to our data. Okay. And the reason that after I click on the first result, it shows a second result with the GPIN numbers, because some people have multiple properties. And if they do, it would list all of them here. Okay. But this one in particular, only one property. Okay. And again, for the address, it may not show multiple properties, but if I were to type in a name, and this, and when you're searching a name in here, because of the data, the way the data is set up, do not put a comma after the last name, just a space. Okay. And see, now it's showing my name in the assessed parcels group. Okay. I own one property because I'm a poor boy, but if I click on that, then it would, take me to that result, that address or parcel, and it highlights it, with a purple outline.
Is there,
Yeah.
but it's all the same thing, they're trying to create a whole thing. Is there any way to get it to highlight the whole thing, like this is everything that one entity owns, and to get that to show up there? Because that is really helpful a lot of times when we're trying to print off the maps
Mm-hmm.
to see it's not just this parcel, and then we have a separate one from the one right next to it, and then a separate map from the one right next to it.
Yeah.
Highlight just everything up there.
Well, this tool, the search tool, it will highlight parcels that are in the same account. Though, there are cases where the same landowner has multiple accounts, and that's what it seems you're talking about. Then this tool will not, but I'll think about that in the future and how I may be able to add that. But another way you can look at all the different accounts or parcels that somebody may own is with this query tool here. Sorry, which is similar to the search tool, but see if I open this, and because there's a lot of information in here, I'm going to expand it, but then select what you want to search, which layer you want to search. Now here you have the difference with this tool and the search tool is here you have more options to refine searches where you can like put in the name. You could put in, you know, an address, what do you think a property address is? Or any combination of these, you know, you have a second owner. If you know the date the deed is recorded, you could search that. And if you know what map sheet, you can search that. So say, let's just try something here. So let's search a recorded date. I'll just choose one at random.
That's totally irrelevant.
Yeah, I need to change that. No, I need to change that.
Is there-
Oh, yeah, well, I can't erase it in here, but I'll have to look in the configuration to see if I can change that date format. But I'll put in, you know, just my name, for example, or property address. This is a bad example because, you know, again, it'll just take me to one property here. But you see with this, you can get more results possibly by you know, wildcard searching data, like landowner name. It'll show you all the parcels that someone owns here. But no, currently there's no way to like select all of them that a landowner owns. But that's something I'll look into in the future to see if it's possible.
Isn't it like?
Now, what you can do is with this tool here, you can select features in the map, and here's your, you know, your different options. So to select multiple parcels, you know, it'll be like a rectangle. So with this tool, you can select them. Okay, and this is how you can select multiple features. And also when you open the table here, and let's see, that's with this button, once you open the table, that said, again, if you hover over any tool in here, it'll give you a caption. So this says show selection. So it will filter the table here of just the parcels that are selected. And then you can also click this actions button and you have different options here. Now, what's important, and I even messed this up before, what's important to notice here is there's two groups. You know, as you see up here, the selected features, just those three. But here it has all data, okay? So if I was to want to export these table results, I would use the tool under the selected group and export to CSV. So that will export only those records that were selected. Okay, and with a lot of these tools, in order to reset or start over, get rid of the results, there's often a tool to do so. Like here says clear selection. Okay, the features are still selected though. So like this tool has a clear selected features as well. Yes, ma'am. That's a good question. The the data, it depends on which data. Some are updated, some are live. These green parcel lines here, if I make an edit, once I make an edit to a parcel and it's saved, you'll see the change in here. You'd have to you'd have to refresh the browser window probably to, or move the map to see the change, because it's not, it's not going to just change when there's nothing to refresh the map. But a lot of the other data is updated as needed. Like say administrative boundaries, like these magisterial districts. It doesn't change much. I hadn't changed it yet, because it hadn't come down that they need to be changed. So data that is unchanged will be updated only as it changes and as needed. But like the addresses, the address data and the parcels, that's updated manually, but like weekly usually I'll update that. So it just depends on which data set it is as to how often it's updated.
Hey, Barry,
Yes, sir.
what's the difference in a tax parcel and an assessed parcel?
Okay, thank you. I'll go over that. Okay, the tax parcels. So for one thing, that's these green parcel lines as compared to the assessed parcels here, which are these pink parcel lines. Now, again, I'll have to clear this out in order to show all the parcels again, because it selected that one parcel with the search tool. And I didn't clear the results yet. So these pink parcel lines are the assessed parcels. The difference is if I click in a parcel here, the data is somewhat different. Okay, this data is coming from this website, basically, same data. Okay, that's where it's pulling this data from. And actually, the way in which that happens is, there's several processes I do on my desktop application to maintain data. Okay. And one thing I do is I'll come into this website. I call it KeyWeb because of this, part of the name here, KeyWeb. And I'll go to download, search all, and I'll export the results to a CSV file. Okay. It's not showing up there because I'd canceled it, but I would export it. It would export all of the tax parcel data to a CSV file. And I have a tool that I will then run. And what it will do is take this tax parcel data here, and it will merge parcels or lots into one track under one account. Okay. And pull in that data that I downloaded. Now, this tax parcels all, though, as you can see, is green boundaries. What that is the raw GIS data, okay, that is populated in GIS alone, in the GIS data. And that's where the property photos are attached as well. There is, yes, sir. So this data actually comes from this is strange. Simple Windows Explorer doesn't want to function. Find some applications don't function well when screen sharing. But there's a directory on one of our servers that there's a script that pulls that data in from the tax database that is, for whatever reason, different than that tax information on KeyWeb. And so what I do is I have a script that will pull that information from that shared directory server and bring it into my local computer hard drive here. And so if I was to open one of these tables, and the script I have formats it to these text files here. Okay, this is basically that same information that's in the GIS data. And this is these are the tables that have all of these fields about property value, you know, land versus building values, zoning codes. So it's a different, slightly different, and probably more information than the assessed parcels contain. And I don't know, like, the difference in the data, but it seems like each one's pulling data from different portions of the tax database. And so that, again, that's even with the green parcel lines, the tax parcels all. I have a tool that I'll run, and it will fill in all of the data from those tables, and I run that about weekly. So that means then that the tax parcel data, whichever one you're looking at, whether it's the tax parcels all or the assessed parcels, that data is updated about weekly. Now, people often ask me, how long is this data updated after a deed is recorded? Now that takes longer because the deed that's recorded goes through a process in addition to just myself. You know, first, from what I understand, first it goes to the Commissioner of Revenue, who then enters in new parcel IDs, and then I pick up those worksheets and surveys about weekly or bi-weekly, just depending on how many there are, and enter the changes in the GIS data. So I'd say at a minimum, it'd probably take at least a month at a minimum after a deed's recorded to be put into GIS. And that's probably giving it a little more credit than the time frame actually is. So Did I answer your question, sir, about the difference in the tax parcel layers?
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Yes, sir. So now I'm gonna turn off the aerial imagery to show you another tool here available. This is a base map tool, okay, which I have, when I zoom out, I have one base map that opens, by default when the application is opened, and it's showing pretty much all of North America, maybe globally. I never really looked into it, but I could go into here into this base map tool and see this is the one that I use by default. But I can change the base map here to something else. And these are external sources provided by the, ESRI, the company that I use to build this. But, if you would like something different, you can change it in here and depending on the base map, it'll show different features or enhance different features. Okay. And, it's kind of fun to play around with, just see the differences in these. So, there's that if you want to use it. And that could be important also if you want to print a map, you may want to change a base map to show different information. Okay. Now, this tool here is to measure anything really. You have a straight line distance and an area measurement tool. So with the straight line distance, you would just click somewhere and then double click to end it. And then I looked into changing this. There's no way to do it. I don't know why, but maybe in the future they'll add it. It always defaults to metric units, but you could change that here to anything else you would like, miles, feet, and it'll display on the map as well. And now with the area measurement tool here, you'd click with your left mouse, click again at a corner, and double click with your left mouse to end it. Okay, that's a good way to get acreage, right? Just, if you want to see like the acreage of an area real quick, you can use that tool. And the select tool, I kind of briefly went over earlier, where you have different options here to draw with. You can use a point tool if you just want to click inside of a feature and select it. Okay. And then with that, again, you can open the table and change it to selected only here, and it will just filter that record that is selected. Then you can export it if you like. And here's how you clear the selections. I went over to search tool. This print tool here, this will print anything on the screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this draw tool here. Okay. And you could resize any of these tool windows here. So I'm gonna just, to make it quick, we'll just use this tool. You can select a kind of format of colors. You can show the measurement here, in the units you want to see. So now I'm going to do similar to the select tool, but This is a circle tool, just, random, and it'll show the area within that extent, okay? But the reason I want to show you that now is because I can close that and we'll use the print tool now. I can change the title here. You can change the format, the print format here. And something important to note though is in this advanced drop-down list here, there's a couple options here that probably should be on by default, but they don't. Is the legend and north arrow. If you want that on your map, you have to turn them on here. And then I'll go ahead and click print. You can see it's generating a print job here. This takes a while to generate based on the map area and degree of features that you have on it.
Is there a way to do that? Show up as a circle, but like, say, I got a client that comes in and says, hey, I want to cut off, the northern 2 acres of my farm and give that to my kids. Is there a way to pull that up in GIS and then actually show, okay, here's what you're talking about, what you're looking at?
Yes, sir.
And if they can take that to a surveyor or whatever.
Mhm. Yes, sir. So, it shows results 1 now after it generated. And then I see my map here. That's what I, renamed it to. If I click on that, it'll open in the default viewer. And so as you can see, whatever you draw on it, it'll show on the map as well. Now, if I understand you correctly, I'm gonna go back to this draw tool. And this is the eraser to clear it, that little button there. So let's say, yeah, we have track. Yeah. Okay, so to do something like that, you could use this polygon tool, because a polygon is not equal sides. You can draw it at whatever different dimensions you want. And say you want to do something like that, but you don't want it filled, you could change the fill color here. This little thing icon here represents transparent. So if I do that, and I'm gonna just draw something real quick. Say you want to just kind of do like this, cut off property like this, right? I double click to end it. And so there it is.
And it's still gonna like,
Yeah, and you can have it label the acreage or just turn that off in a draw tool if you don't want it to label it. And then then again, like I showed, you can go to print and print that and it'll show your drawing in it. And again, this is where you would clear your drawing. Also, what I'll note in the pop-up boxes as well for address data. If I were to click on this address here, or any address, and again, note is default to the topmost layer in the list here. So I may need to navigate here until I see this addresses, and it shows the address that's selected. Now, again, I'll scroll to the bottom where all the hyperlinks are in the pop-up box, and to this last result, Street View. If I click view here, that's a hyperlink. that will take me to Google Street View. This particular location that I had selected though, 2228 Brushy Mountain Road, shows no results. And the reason for that, if I just manually go to Google Maps and go to that address, if any of you ever mess with Google Maps and like the Street View, you drag this little man here, and the street should turn blue if it's been photographed. Okay, this one isn't. See if any of them are here. This one down here is. No, that's a creek. So you see how they changed blue over here? So if I drop the man on one of them, it'll show Google Street View. So the reason it didn't show up when I did it here is because that particular area here, that road, has not been photographed by Google. Okay. So what it's doing is taking the point that I clicked, the coordinates of that, and opening those coordinates in Google Street View. And so when it does work, let's find a road that obviously will have one. Now, also, if an address is too far off of the road, it may not show up as well. Huh. Yeah, up here. So yeah, as you can see, when it does open for an address, it usually it'll open, you know, showing down the street. So it doesn't pan to show the residents. You'll have to move it manually because all it's doing is opening Google Street View at the coordinates of that point, the GPS coordinates, if you will. So you'll have to pan around to look for the residents that you're looking for. But it's nice to have that function to be able to, you know, easily get to that area and look at it if you need to. You know, or you have the, if this one has one, or you always, you know, may have a property photo in here at the bottom in the tax parcels to look at. But like this one, you don't. So Google Street View works, you know, possibly for what you need.
You, as you cycle through the different panels, it highlighted different spots. There's one to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
That one. When you clicked on that one, it highlighted different, see how it's like only got that
Yeah.
one and it highlights the line. Can you explain why it's doing that?
Yes. So what it's showing here is that single lot. But if I click next and it goes to assess parcels, as I explained earlier, there's a tool I have that will take all of the tax parcels, and I'm gonna turn that off now so you can see the difference. And it merges them under the assess GPIN into a single track.
So there's one account.
Right,
Even though on the surveys,
exactly. Yeah.
there's like
Yeah. Now, you know, if this is truly different lots under this account, and that's the way the survey is, this person, they may be able to say they want to sell off a lot or two, they can do that. But on, say, this one, see, I'll have to clear this, I think. But say like one of these in which, and so we can see difference in the property lines. So one of these lots are under, each lot is under one account, okay? So if, say if they wanted to sell off a section of their lot, they would have to get a new survey to subdivide it first. And that's the difference in the tax parcels and assessed parcels, is the tax parcel shows all the multiple lots under a survey or deed, but the assessed parcels will show the account, all of the lots combined under an account. And the reason we chose to do it that way is because that's how it's always been. You know, if you remember, there was 2 tax parcel layers in that old web application that we had forever as well. So you know, when I built this, you know, I was told to try to mirror the layers as they were in the old one. And so that's why. And, you know, but what's important also to understand is that each one of these layers here, whether it's tax parcels or the assessed parcels down here, if I click on them again, you know, you can get different information, you know, for each one. You know, there's tax parcel shows the, you know, all the values. I'll go to assessed parcels, you know, it shows different, but maybe a few of the fields are the same, but you know, it shows some different information under each one.
And this may be on the scope of this class, and
Mhm.
sorry, is there a way, if you have, like, say the guy who owns that house right there, he buys the initial house in, you know, 2010, and he buys the lot right next to him in 2015, and the lot next to that in 2020.
Mhm.
Each of those is gonna have a separate G pin.
Mhm.
Like, is there a way to get those consolidated into a single G pin without getting a new survey, or is he just? Because like, I've seen a lot of times where we're doing transactions where we'll have 5 G pins listed, and they're all right next to each other,
Mhm.
and they were all conveyed in the same deed. Is there a way to consolidate all that into a single account?
Well, from what I understand, I think the way it works is if they're all under the same deed or survey, they'll be in one account. But if, say, like you say, he owned the house, but then he later bought a lot next to it. If he don't combine that survey or deed, file a new deed, it'll be different. Yeah, it'll be separate. Yeah, it'd be separate deeds and surveys if the surveys exist. And so they'll be under different accounts then. And that's what you see here under the assessed parcels, is how they have them, the different lots assessed into each account. And the way that works is, as you can see in the data here, there's an assessed GPIN here, 3876. And down here, there's a GPIN, which is different. Okay, so this GPIN identifies the lots, and the assessed GPIN is what ties them all together under an account.
And is that gonna be like the dominant track G pin, or is that gonna be a 4th G pin on top of the 3 individuals?
It will be one of the lots under an assessed account will have both the GPIN and assessed GPIN will be the same. And that's how I append the data and update it and combine them into this single assessed area, is by that commonality with the assessed GPIN. Okay, now to go over some more tools here. In the map frame, these tools over here, I went over these, but these little black icons over here, just kind of like navigation functions. This one will zoom to your present location, which GPS, like if you're using this on a mobile device, will with a GPS will be more accurate, because from here, what it's mapping is my IP address location, which isn't always correct. It's not 100% accurate, but I just want to show you what that tool does. So it'll basically zoom to your location. These two arrows will just go back and forth to where I was before and back again to that location. See, each zoom level you were at, it'll go back to it.
Will that work if you search different parcels?
Yes, sir. Each time the map moves, it records it. And so you can, you know, it'll record it, and you can just keep going back and forth to your previous areas. And again, this just zooms in and out if you don't have a mouse wheel. Of course, I prefer to use a mouse wheel because it's a lot quicker. And this tool here will just take you to the default zoom level and location that it opens when you open the application for the first time. And these down here are just informational purposes. Okay. Now these buttons here are charts, chart widgets, chart tools. And I've already written to ESRI about this problem, and I'm waiting on a response, but I have two charts for two different reasons. And again, if you hover over these tools, you'll see, you know, what they represent. So this one, I put total demographics. This one, selected demographics. And I hope in the future to combine them into one when that's possible. But currently, the way this builder is you have either or options. So what I'll show now, it says demographics, total demographics. Now to use this, I'll have to go down here to population demographics. Okay, and that's just, I'm turning that on simply because that's what this tool will use. And I'll just click that tool, and this will just show a chart. I can expand this box, this pop-up box with the bottom right corner. So this just shows the different demographics of the entire county. And if I hover over one of these graphs, it'll show a label. So I'll close this one, and now I'll use this select tool. Just select some random location. Okay, and then I'll use this one, selected demographics. And so what this is displaying is the population and demographics of this area here that I selected, which is this dark brown area right here. It also selected all tax parcels and stuff in there, but this dark brown area is the demographics that's selected and displaying here. Okay. I'm gonna clear that. Here, I'll clear it here, and that clears all selections. So it's just, you know, a tool that I thought would be cool to add, because some people are, you know, interested in that information. Yes, sir.
So Does it also show infrastructure? Things like that, does it show that on?
No, not those utilities. It may show, I think sewer lines may be in here, but, water lines, electrical lines, pipelines are not. We have an internal application that's similar that we can see that information in. And the reason we don't show it publicly is because that's sensitive information that, due to terrorism, you're not supposed to just show publicly the precise locations of those. Pipelines, for instance, there's a website, National Pipeline Management System, I think, that I can get that data from. But I have to establish a login that they verify that is a government email address. So I have a login to that, so I can access that data. I can download it, but also they filter it for your jurisdiction. I can only download the pipelines for Pittsylvania County. That's how sensitive that information is. The water lines, I just chose not to display them for that purpose too, publicly, but like anybody can contact me, if they want to look into asking me, to analyze something, if water line is going to their property or something.
Public Works.
Yes, sir. I have actually I have two other applications for internal use only. One for all the county employees and one for Public Works. Yes, sir. And yeah, I probably do need to look up the census data and see if they have updated data since 2020. But I also did a web application I created, which is what we call a mashup that, and it's available through this portal here, and for public viewing that has more demographic information in it, that's pulling from other sources. Okay, now I'll go over the tools up top here in the banner. This first one is just a legend tool. It'll show you just a symbology for everything that all of the layers that are turned on that are active. Okay. And as you notice here, this data says VDOT speed limits because that is one of these map services that are pulling from an external source that's pulling from VDOT, and it shows speed limit features. Do y'all need to take a break? Y'all want to take a break? No. So that VDOT layer it shows school zone speed limits and regular speed limits. So like if I go down here and where these purple lines are here, and what I just did, if you ever have a problem with functionality in this, I just refresh the browser. So if I click on one of these lines, it'll show the speed limits. And whatever other information is provided. So That's the legend tool. Shows everything that you have active. Bookmark tool here. What you can do here is you can rename these. Okay, and just hit enter. And say I was, zoom somewhere else, but I wanted to save that location. And that's what I did here. Then I could just click on it and it'll go back to that location. And these, I'm not sure when they clear, but they will persist in your browser, I think, until you clear the cache. And this is how you can get rid of them. Just hit this little garbage can if you want to clear them out. The draw tool, again, I kind of went over. These are just selection tools again, like this tool here that they have in the toolbox. But as whichever one of these drawing tools here that you want to use, if you turn on location measurement, pick a unit. This one only has one, but because it's a point, and you want to draw that in your map, it'll label the measurement units on the map too. Okay. So if you don't want to show that, you just want to show your drawing, you just turn that off. And again, you can clear all of your drawings here with this little eraser tool. So that's this draw tool. Directions is, similar to Google Maps. You could put, I'm gonna just choose current location, but you could put in an address for each one for starting and ending location. And it'll show you the quickest route. And, just like Google Maps, it'll show you directions down here and time. Okay, and again, if I just close this box, it'll leave it in there. So say you want to print your directions, you can go ahead and print and it'll show that until I go back into the tool. And this one, the clear happens to be right here, clear route. Each tool is a little different, where that clear function is. And then we have this near me tool. And to use this tool, this functions with a certain set of layers, being tax payment location. So I'll turn that on. And the waste collection group. Okay, so if I want to see what's in 5 miles, or I can change this to anything else. Radius of my location, I can just click on my location and it's looking for those features that are within that 5 mile radius of the location that I clicked on. This one, it's called Near Me.
Near me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, let's say I want to go in and search all school locations for the county.
Yes, sir.
I do something like that. All fire departments located in the county. Would it bring up that?
Currently no, but I can add them to the tool. Yeah.
That time. I can't name.
Yeah.
See exactly. In those communities, they know what they're at, but Google, most of us don't know exactly what they're.
Yes, sir. Right.
Having something like that. Like, this is where they're all located.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I can add them. Mhm. It says no results found, so if I were to increase the radius maybe, right? Hit refresh, it'll search again. And this, like the print widget, takes a while to run. Simply because doing the server doing the analyzation to search these results takes a while. But once it would find some locations nearby and populate them in here, all you'd have to do is click on each one, and it'll show the distance that each location is to your location. Then still none found, but that just happens to be somewhere that there's no locations in that radius. Yes, sir. They are in one of these, I think in economic development, maybe. Yeah, industrial sites here.
So,
To search with this tool, I will have to, yeah. I can add them too, though. But currently, yeah, I only have it set on tax payment locations, waste collection sites, and parks. Yes, sir. Hmm. Yes, sir. So, yeah, this is, it just, you have to play with the radius at times to use this tool to find the features that you're looking for. Because whatever radius you put in here, that's all it's searching. I'm not sure if it's working right now. It should pull up something there. I have to I have to play with it and see if it's working right. This tool is just simple share, you know, you can copy a little link here and send to somebody, create a QR code of it and whatnot. You can post it on Facebook or other social media, just to share the link with other folks. This query tool I briefly went over as well, which this gives you additional options to search for features. Okay, so the more information that you put in here, the more precise that it will search. So again, like just, information that I know offhand, I'll put in. So I input two bits of information, two fields to search. And this is these results, the process to get these results in each one of these tools is taking a lot longer here because I'm on Wi-Fi. So this is kind of a internet bandwidth limitation that affects these tools processes. But that will do same thing. It would bring up similar search tool would bring up results that it can find with that property address and my name, which would obviously be that same single parcel. Didn't find anything, probably due to but yeah, to use this tool, you have to input, which nobody would really know, but you have to input the data exactly as it is in the tables here. Now, this last tool here, swipe, what that is used for is the imagery. It's currently set up just to use for the imagery here. So if I were to turn on 2 different years of imagery, I'm going to zoom in just so we can get a perspective. So what this swipe tool is for, and you have to turn it on here and choose the layers. The leading layer is the layer on the left side of the screen, and telling layer is 2023 in this instance. So what you can do then is it puts a little handle in the middle of the screen here, and you can still zoom in and out with this on. And what this does is it'll show you an easy way to visualize the differences, the changes through time in the imagery. Okay, the left side's 2002, the right side's 2023 imagery, right? And it'll remain if I close that tool until I come back in and turn it off here. And I think I've covered everything other than if anybody has questions. Yes, sir.
What were the differences?
It's just a way to
I know.
visualize the differences.
What period of time?
Well, I selected 2002 versus 2023, but I could change, these just by turning on the different image layers.
I think
Mhm.
at least to the taxation.
Yes, sir.
And then I was wondering, I know they use a lot of stuff now, they do this right here. Just figuring, trying to figure out what the update is on.
Mhm.
They use that to go and see what the adding sense.
Yes, sir.
So they could then be gave the last assessment until now. And do that little swipe deal
Yes, sir.
and see what buildings have been added since that period of time.
Yes, sir. And there are other areas of the country that they do use imagery to do appraisals, to help with appraisals. Because, you know, some properties may be fenced off and you can't go in and you can't see, you know, the outbuildings behind the residents and whatnot. So, yeah, a lot of other, counties use imagery and this swipe tool, and with the measurement tool to assess what they can't see on the ground. And, but of course, they usually will purchase imagery that they need because, you know, of the time that it's taken, and resolution. When you purchase imagery, you know, you can select what resolution you want it at. You know, if it's 12-inch, I think it's down to like 6-inch resolution now. And what that means is, in the imagery, if I was to zoom in all the way until I can, and it's easier to do with, you know, on a desktop and imagery that is not in a map link. But if I were to measure a pixel in the imagery, it would be the 6 inches or 12-inch square of each pixel, and that's what that means. So yeah, when other appraisal entities do that, they'll purchase some high resolution imagery, it's called, you know, at 6 or 12-inch pixel resolution to do that analysis. But I have seen that where they do they do utilize that option to do appraisals. I mean, it's yes, sir. And even with the aerial imagery and satellite imagery, you, there's applications that you can use that I have used in college that you can classify imagery based on pixel attributes, so that you can pick out structures compared to ground, water bodies and whatnot, and bring that into a GIS layer that you can then work with. So because of that, there is a lot of value in aerial and satellite imagery other than just to look at, because each band in imagery has 0 to 255 numbers in it. And you can even change, you know, which bands you want to work with. And with the 0 to 255 in each band, those numbers are how you can extract data from the imagery based on the combination of those digital numbers, they call it, in each band. Is there any questions online? And is there any questions that remain in the audience here? We still have about 20 minutes. I know I make this look easy to work with, and I know it's really not, but what I suggest, you know, is that people just kind of play around with what you have access to in here. And you'll, you know, just look around and pay attention to what pops up when you know, click on something and whatnot. And just like I showed with, you know, with these pop-up boxes, for example. I may have broke it. Now it's not showing anything. Yes, sir. So if you go to each browser is going to be different, but this one, it's clear browsing data here, I believe. And you can select what all you want to clear out here. And this would probably be these two would probably be the best bet to clear. And maybe this hosted app data. And you can select, the time frame that you want to clear and just hit clear data. Yes, sir. As you notice now, the splash screen comes up when I refreshed it. So now I didn't have the splash screen earlier because my map was drawn in cache and I'd already had it checked and hit OK. I think there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi now in here. That's not drawing everything. But good timing that it did this. So is there any other questions though? If you always need a refresher, we're going to post this recording online, but you can also, view this video here that I go through everything, or similar to everything I just showed you. But, just remember that everything you click on in the map, is a result of what you have turned on in the legend here, in the layers here. So that's what you'll see, whatever you have turned on and the overlying features that you clicked on there. Well, if there's no more questions, I'll wrap it up. Thank you all for attending. And I hope you gained something out of it.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
y'all
you.
have a good day. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes, have a good day. Thank you.